Welcome to the Verdin Verdict Sports Show. I'm your host, Jacob Verdin. Got my guy G-Sportz in the cut. G, how you feeling? What's going on with you?
A lot to unpack over these last, not even 24 hours, last 12 hours.
This could be the most packed show we've had in program history. There's been a lot of firsts. Last week we had a nice first. You get to sweep 3-0 on the picks, and then this week it's a weird first. I'll say. Obviously, if you were asleep yesterday, Brian Kelly's fired. If somehow, some way you missed the news late on Sunday night, LSU terminated their head coach. This morning, they terminated their offensive coordinator, Joe Sloan. Both moves at this point, I just would say not surprising. Gee, I did a little bit of research in terms of LSU's offensive ranks in the country. Out of around 145 FBS teams, LSU ranked 124 in rushing, 91 in red zone efficiency, and 83 in points per game. As of right now, Frank Wilson is your interim. Alex Atkins takes over as play calling. I just want to know one thing first. What do you expect going forward? Like, is this season over? Can they squeeze out a win? Do you worry about an Arkansas game, a Taylor Green? What's the litmus test now for LSU?
I talked to a number of players this morning and late last night about just the mindset of the team. A lot of them talked about how Wade Weeks stated that he wants them to play hard the rest of the season. He don't want guys going half-ass. He don't want guys going through the motion. Let's try to end this season 9-3 and salvage what we have left. And a lot of the players say they're on the same page with it. There's no quit in this team for a lot of these kids are telling me, and they say they very motivated to go beat a Bama team, to go to Norman, Oklahoma, and some of these guys are still trying to put out good film, and to be evaluated the right way by the NFL. So um, somebody like Frank Wilson, who's been around the program for a number of years, he understands on how to run the show. A lot of people don't understand that Frank was always the shaker and the mover behind the scenes. He was always the one that was putting the fires out. So I think he is very capable of keeping things going in the right direction for the rest of the season. So I don't see no quitting this team. Would not be surprised if they went to Bama and pulled off an upset either.
I was about to ask you too. What kind of decision does LSU now have on their hands? If hypothetically, let's take a trip down La La Land, G. Let's go into our favorite world on the Verdin Verdict, a hypothetical world. Let's say Frank Wilson does lead LSU to victory against Alabama. Did he just put his name in the hat?
I think you're gonna have a lot of people advocating for Frank Wilson, and I'm not trying to pull a Reese card when I say this. I just don't see the governor, the board of trustees signing off on Frank Wilson being the first black head coach at LSU. I just don't see. I hope I'm wrong when I say that. I think he would do a great job because who understands that culture in the state of Louisiana better than Frank Wilson?
Bro, nobody. Yeah, and it's the culture, it's the schematic standpoint, G. But here's the cherry on the top, and I feel like you don't really understand these type of things until you're alongside them or in it. And obviously, we're blessed to be able to have some of those opportunities. But it's the type of person he is, bro. Like it's the fact that even if he's going to correct you, he's going to get down to your level, reach you, talk to you in a way where not only is he respectful, but he's uplifting. You know what I mean? He's not a coach that's just gonna. Here's the perfect way to describe him. He is a transformational coach, G. I always talk about this. You got two types of coaches. You got transactional and you got transformational. The transactional ones, you just come in the building, man. Look, this is your job, and we practice till 4 o'clock. See you tomorrow. Frank Wilson, he's gonna make sure you're good. He's gonna check up on you in the off season. He'll come by, like those type of little things, and the personality that he has. Yeah, hats off to Frank.
And
That
to,
would be a good addition.
and to piggyback off what you just said, they going into a bye week. The players were supposed to be off today. No, we were supposed to be off yesterday and today. Well, you know what Frank Wilson said? No, we not off. We coming to practice and we about to grind. And a couple of players, that was expecting to be all, they like that mindset of Frank Wilson. I'm not speaking for the whole team, but I had a couple of players saying, I like that. Let's not get comfortable. Let's get back here and work. And let's try to see if Alex Atkins could rejuvenate this offense. And I think that Alex Atkins can because for people that don't know, He called plays at Florida State for 2 years, right? He was on that staff with that went undefeated with Jordan Travis. And then when they got uh when they didn't get picked to get in the playoffs, when
You
there a
got
lot of people thought
snubbed.
that, yeah, they got snubbed. I was trying to think of what the word when they got snubbed for not getting in the playoffs. He was the play caller. So this dude has had success calling plays, and I think this is going to bode well for them going into the Bama game because they not gonna know how to prepare, right? They're gonna have to go watch old film when he was calling plays at Florida State, but it's gonna be a little different because you don't know how he plans to use his personnel. So I can't wait to see how it's gonna all play out. I'm rooting for Frank Wilson. I hope they give him a legitimate shot to interview for the job and get the job, but we'll see.
No, I agree. That'd be awesome. And just talking about the job in general, I feel like at this point, it's almost a unanimous agreement across college football that LSU is the top job. Like the only other job you can maybe put in the same breath as LSU is Florida. And then, I mean, we talked before the show about the NIL collective and just different resources that you're going to have at your disposal. And I'm kind of like torn between what one is truly number one, but I'm going to side with LSU for the simple fact that I feel like you got the obviously you got a loyal fan base, you got the tough environment, you got things like that. But I just feel like the area you're in terms of Louisiana, the proximity, all these different pipelines. I mean, shit, he'll still be close to Mississippi, which he set his roots in for the greater part of 5 years. It just seems like Lane's the most equipped and ready candidate. I don't know. I could be tripping. I feel like the decision, I was going to rely with him. He got every single pick. He could be the highest paid college football coach overnight. He's going to get
Let me
50.
make the case for Frank Wilson and why I think they should really consider Frank and why I think Frank should get this job, especially if he ends this season the right way. They trying to negotiate with Brian Kelly. These talks are still ongoing with for him to take 40% of the buyout and not get the whole 52 million.
Mhm.
Well, let's just say they fail at that and they have to pay him this $52 million. From a business standpoint, financial standpoint, and from a cultural standpoint, Frank Wilson will make the most sense, right? Because if you go get Lane Kiffin, bro, you're gonna have to make him the highest paid coach in college football.
It'll
You're gonna
be
have
over
to.
90 million. Yeah.
You're gonna have to give him 8 to 10 years, and you will be in the same situation that you're in right now with Brian Kelly. So what if Lane Kiffin don't work out? That's too much money to just be thrown around when you start talking about buyouts. You hire Frank Wilson, and now you probably Frank. I think he's getting paid like right at $1 million. Right? You give him a raise. You put him at about five and a half, 5.5 a year. Right? You allow him to get bring his own staff in. Right? Like a Jabbar Jalou, like a Dave Johnson. Right? You lock the state down. Right? Go get you the best offensive coordinator that they have in the country. That might be Charlie White's son. That's at Ole Miss. Go steal him from Lane Kiffin. Right? Go get Will Stein from Oregon. I don't know. Do whatever you have to do. Put the right infrastructure around you. And I think Frank Wilson will be the smartest decision for the LSU Tigers going forward. You can't afford to lock yourself in 8 to 10 years with another coach because it gotta be a can't miss hire. I like Lane Kiffin. I know he's a hot name. He's done wonders at Ole Miss over the last couple of years. But I'm not gonna sit here and say Lane Kiffin is just a can't miss coach right now. I'm not gonna say that. The only can't miss guy out there to me is Nick Saban.
Yeah. My take on the Lane Kiffin thing, the reason why I would lean toward him over Nick Saban is I've seen him work in the transfer portal, and at least I don't have to worry about that aspect. But to answer what you're saying about how you're gonna have to guarantee this money, pay him out the wazoo, that
He
puts
gonna
you
want something similar to what Brian Kelly got. He
he's gonna
gonna
get
want the same
more.
thing.
He's gonna
As
get
far as the
more.
buyout
Like,
and
yeah.
the length of the years, bro, it's gonna you gonna put yourself. They gonna put the football program in shackles if they do this. I'm
You're
just
looking at a
telling you.
fork in the road, and then I hate to like what you're coming from a sense like a very reasonable like position, G. Like what you're saying is a level-headed, your ass ain't on the line type of moment. But what I feel and I worry is like when I see Scott Woodward and I look at the Jimbo Fisher hire, it's one bad hire. And I'm not trying to go down this rabbit hole, but you already know where I'm about to say. $76 million buyout to Jimbo. bought out Ed for 18. You're about to buy out BK for hypothetically 25 to 50. Who knows at this point? History repeats itself a lot. And I feel like now he could be in a situation where he's worried about his job. And now he's worried about making a splash higher and impressing everybody. So it's like, I agree. I just wonder how like much pressure is going to be on Scott Woodward to impress everybody with this hire, you think? Like, do you think he's fighting for his job too at this point? And then I got a second question, a follow-up to that. If you do somehow, some way lose an athletic director, lose key pieces in the front office, how do you prevent this program from like not looking as appealing anymore? Because somebody had a fantastic point. I forgot who it was, but they were saying you can't expect people to want to take a job where they're going to be at a disadvantage. And theoretically, if your athletic department is in shambles, that's a disadvantage. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, they still trying to find a president, right? I
Oh
think they're
yeah, that
supposed to
too.
be making a decision before December. They still got to get that in order. I think Scott Woodward has definitely dropped the ball when you talk about the men's basketball job and the football job. He's knocked it out the park with baseball. He's knocked it out the park with women's basketball. I think the gymnastics coach was already there before Scott Woodward got there. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, Jay Clark. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to say that he's done a bad job when you hire Kim Monken and Jay Johnson and what they've done. But we all know in Louisiana, football is king. So the basketball program could be terrible. The baseball program could be terrible. As long as football winning, your
Everybody
job's
happy.
safe. Everybody happy. Business is gonna thrive.
You want to know an interesting statistic? If you looked at the comprehensive athletic department revenue, all the money that LSU athletics make, 85% of it comes from LSU football. It's very
Football king.
interesting to think about. King,
Football
king,
king.
king by a
And
million.
and people, I gotta give Scott Woodward some credit here though. Even though he didn't make the best decision in hiring Brian Kelly. Okay, we could harp on this all day long. It is what it is, right? Because he went got the most winningest coach out of all the active coaches. So it's even though some people didn't agree with the hire, I didn't agree with the hire. I didn't look at it and say, "What the hell you thinking about Scott Woodward?"
Right.
Right? I didn't say that. He tried to go about this the right way. After the Vanderbilt game, Scott Woodward told Brian Kelly, "You need to get rid of Joe Sloan as the play caller." Brian Kelly refused. I believe that if Brian Kelly had listened to Scott Woodward and other people in that building to part ways with Joe Sloan as the play caller, and you would have elevated Alex Atkins before this Texas A&M game, who knows? They might have upset it Texas A&M on Saturday. Don't forget, they was up at the half, bro.
Bro, yeah.
It was up there. It was up at the half,
After
right?
2 turnovers and a block punt.
They
Like,
was up at the half, bro. So I really believe BK's ego got in the way with not letting Joe Sloan go earlier. And we could go all the way back to 2 years ago when they let Denbrock walk. Mike Denbrock did a great job with this offense, bro. And look, granted, I know he had Jaden Daniels, and he had Brian Thomas, you had Malik Neighbors, you had Kyron Lacey, you had Mason Taylor, you had Will Campbell, Emory Jones. I get it. But Mike Denbrock was a great play caller, bro. He put those guys in positions to win. This is a talented roster on the offensive side of the ball. They should be able to do something similar. Now, I ain't gonna say they should be doing the same as that James Daniels team, but they should be at least in the same stratosphere.
oh
And
yeah.
I believe that's when all this shit started falling apart. When they elevated Joe Sloan to the OC and you did not retain Mike Denbrock. And I know all these stories coming out about Mike Denbrock wanted to go back home to be closer to his family down there in Indiana. Bullshit.
Money talk, huh? That's what you thinking?
I just think that's when it all went downhill, bro. Can you imagine if you still have Mike Denbrock calling the plays
You
with
would have a
that
top 5
defense?
offense. You wouldn't have a 124th rushing squad, a 83 point per game squad. Yeah, it would be a lot different. I'll
Yeah.
agree with that one. There are some questions around the program that I want to ask you about in terms of like one.
Man, look at my dude two in the background, man. That Joe Sloan picture.
Shout out, man. Yeah. I want to ask you this. You think that the next coach that comes in retains somebody like a Frank Wilson, Corey Raymond, a Kyle Williams, like people that are not only LSU alum, but are, like key pieces to LSU in the early foundation, but I just feel like they have such a good grasp on it to where shit, Brian Kelly had to bring them back. Like, do you think there's value and merit in keeping some of this staff together? And if so, who you think?
Yeah, those three guys you just named are pillars of the LSU program. Those guys understand what the standard is. Those guys was around when LSU was the cream of the crop in the country. I definitely think that Corey Raymond should be retained. I definitely think Kyle Williams should be retained. I definitely think Frank Wilson needs to be retained if he doesn't get an opportunity to be the next head coach.
Yep. And for the Corey Raymond part, that's how you alleviate the worry of a DJ Pickett or PJ Woodland or whatever the case may be entering the transfer portal. If you retain some of their positional coaches, you keep some consistency, uh, then you're going to be able to avoid a lot of catastrophe. I want to ask you this question too, because we were talking about Frank Wilson and the fact that like if you go get a big coach, you're going to spend so much money. There is another name that people keep throwing in the hat as well, John Summerall from Tulane. What do you think about that? Because we talked about the fact that like Billy Napier might have potentially screwed up a smaller coach jumping into the water. But if LSU gets put in that desperation spot, like is anything off the table? And what do you think about that from a fit standpoint? It seems like to my like that seems like way too big of a jump. I don't know. I'm terrified to watch somebody cut their teeth at LSU, but hey, Coach Osborne did it. I don't know. What's your take?
Yeah, I mean, Signetti came from James Madison
Yep.
and went to Indiana. He's had Indiana looking like, one of the top premier programs in the country. Went to the playoff last year. I know they got their head beat in, but still, it's Indiana, bro. They made it to the playoff in year one. Right now, they're number two in the country. They were going to make the playoff again. And I would imagine they're going to probably make a run. So I think that makes the case for somebody like John Summerall. And what he's done at Tulane, impressive.
Yep.
And the roster that he has this year is nowhere near the roster he had last year. This is a roster that I have been shocked that he's been winning the games he's been winning this year. And he has to be considered in my mind. If he don't get the LSU job, he's damn sure gonna probably get the Kentucky job or the Arkansas job.
And to your point, just doubling down on the fact that he's doing a lot more with a lot less. Yeah, you lose Darian Mincer. Yeah, lose Mackay. Bro,
Exactly.
listen to this. I posted this on Instagram. If you missed it, go follow us at Verdin Verdict. But AP poll voters gave Tulane 55 votes for the top 25, putting them in order at 27. LSU only got 11, G. That would put them at 32. Tulane got
Yep.
5 times the votes. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say, as of right now, Tulane is the best college football team in Louisiana because they have a 40% chance to get to the playoffs. I'm not going to sit here and like, I don't know. That's
I
insane to
I
me.
I believe this. If John Summerall gets Tulane to the 12-team playoff, I don't give a damn they lose 55 to nothing. He needs to be heavily considered to be the next LSU head coach. And it goes back to what I was just saying about Frank Wilson. You're not gonna have to spend an arm and a leg for John Summerall.
Yep.
You're not. And I think Scott Woodrum need to be real careful about how they go about spending money, right? Only can't miss head coach out there to me is Nick Saban, bro. And I'm gonna say it again.
Yeah. I want to know too, from like a competitive standpoint, how do you combat all these people in the transfer portal and the fact that you already got to replace so much talent because you're losing so many people to the NFL draft? Like, if you're in that building, if you're tasked with keeping this roster together, what do you do? How do you do this? Like, I know Frank Wilson's motivation, getting them on an off day and trying to get them all back together. That's a good start, a great start, because now it makes everybody think like, all right, cool, business as usual. We're not falling off. It's not panic mode yet. There's not shambles. But like, how you keep that going?
I think Wednesday or Thursday they having a scrimmage for all the young guys, all the true freshmen, you know, all the guys that rotate in or that are doesn't really travel on the away games. These guys are going to have a scrimmage, and the reason behind that is it's an evaluation. It's an evaluation of who do we need to make sure we retain going into next year. So a lot of these guys won't be on job interviews this week and next week. And look, these kids are emotional. We live in a trendy world. You gotta already know that some of these guys gonna hit the portal. You gotta know they got some third parties that's already talking to other schools and seeing how much they can get for it. For some of these guys at LSU, that's just what that's gonna be. But I think it's LSU still, bro. This is still
Mhm.
LSU, and this is still the best of the best when you talk about schools to play for in the country.
Yep.
DJ Pickett, you know, Lamar Brown, who's in high school right now, Dominic McKinley, all these names that's not draft eligible right now. You got to make sure you retain these guys. You got to make sure you retain these guys, and I think that Frank Wilson will do a great job of retaining the ones that he has to retain. And what I mean by that is you can't retain all of them. We just don't live in that type of football world anymore, right? But some of these guys, like the guys I just named, you got to make sure you keep them in house, and you got to make sure you don't let them leave.
Hundred
And I and
percent.
I and I think Frank will do a good job of it.
Yeah, I'm doubling down on what we said last night. My number one is DJ Pickett. My number two is Trudez Green. Those are the two guys that you got to lock the door, do the whole, put the chair in front of it. He can't leave, bro. I'm
If
sorry.
you look, if you handling if you are mentoring or you in these guys camp, like if you in Trudez camp and you helping them through this process, you got to be telling somebody like Trudez or DJ Pickett that this is LSU. They gonna get a top tier coach in this mug, right? They gonna get a top tier staff in here. This is LSU. This is not like a situation where you at Arkansas where you might go get Lighthouse of the Blind coming in here, right?
Mhm.
So I can't imagine Trey Dez leaving. I just can't imagine him leaving. I can't. DJ Pickett, not from the state, from Florida. If Corey Raymond is not retained, maybe we'll see. Because he played a lot this year. DJ Pickett played a whole lot this year.
And he made a great impact.
And he made an impact. So you know, he's definitely somebody that everybody gonna be keeping their eye on when it's time for that portal to open.
And I'm gonna say before we get out of here, one more thing about Lane Kiffin to your point and saying why. Like I do think that that's my number one. That's my dream hire. I think you get the most success instantaneously with that. But from a leverage standpoint, if your agent does have Penn State, Florida, and LSU on the table, Ole Miss is obviously still in the race. They're not going to just let them walk. They're going to try to be competitive and offer, or at least try to match it. It seems like he's got a clear cut path to becoming the highest paid coach in college football. I don't care how you slice it. It don't matter what job he takes. It seems like he's. I mean, what was the rumor that Florida offered him? 81 million over 6 years. I mean, I
I know
think a
his
shot's got to be
agent.
taken.
I know his agent, Richard Sexton, is like cha-ching.
Yeah, yeah. Money
Back the
coming.
Brinks truck up, bro. Hey, I'm gonna give you a couple names though that I would love to see be considered. Kelvin Shepard. I
Detroit
saw.
Lions. Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot who I saw mention him as a candidate. But he played at LSU.
Fayoko.
Yeah, played linebacker at LSU. Won a national championship. Got drafted in the second or the third round. He has elevated in the coaching game rather quickly. I remember when Coach O brought him on as a player development guy when he was the head coach, and then he left and went to the NFL, and he's the D coordinator, and he has that Lions defense playing even better than they did last year when they had Aaron
Glenn.
Glenn.
Yep.
And me and Amik Robinson talks all the time, and Amik talks really highly of Kelvin Shepard. Young guy, 36 years old or 37 years old, somewhere around there, understands the culture. Considering Joe Brady been doing a phenomenal job up there in Buffalo. We know what he did with that 2019 team when they brought him in for that 1 year. Consider him. The Dillinghams at Arizona State. I don't want to see that. Brent Key from Georgia Tech. I don't think that's a good fit. So you know those guys I just named. I will see them. I would love to see them boys have a chance to be the head coach too.
I agree. I got two comments I want to hit you with. This one's funny. Definitely. They're saying this to poke fun. They say G hired a Michigan coach so BK can go to Michigan. Say G gonna be on here crying. And there's somebody out here talking about he making a joke. We too spoiled. Damn right, LSU spoiled, man. Come on, LSU definitely spoiled. I want to know.
Dog, what? I don't agree with that comment. Spoiled,
I know he's just bullshit. He got to be mocking Brian Kelly. Like, there's no
bro.
way.
If bro, nobody listen. Nobody expected LSU to go win the natty this shit. I ain't gonna say nobody. I'm realistic. LSU fans didn't just say that so they going to win a national championship this year.
We at least
But
thought playoff though.
yeah, but you damn sure expected them to be in this 12-team playoff.
Mm-hmm.
With the talent on that roster, you damn sure expected that. And for them not to be in that 12-team playoff, bro, and get blew out at home like that on Saturday is unacceptable.
Yeah, I agree. Our comment section going AWOL now. Now everybody want to get on the damn screen. Let's bring Les Miles back. All right,
Absolutely
congrats.
not.
Like he just got him. You just got hired as LSU's athletic director. Good job. Fantastic
Absolutely
decision.
not.
That would be insane. I guess we about to get out of here, G. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before y'all leave, hit that thumbs up. Go follow us on social media, your Twitter, your Facebook, your Instagram. We got every single link in the description. We live Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 1 o'clock, G. Wednesday, we don't got a preview for LSU. We're in the middle of a bye week. We're going to cook something up nice for you, though. SEC power rankings, a couple of hypotheticals. We'll have a trivia question on for Wednesday. If you missed it, we did trivia last week, $5 question. We might up it. We might have to up it. I was thinking about this, G. Let me ask you this. So let's say, because last time he didn't get it right. He just got it close. So we prices righted him. It was the inaugural segment. We had to give something away. I didn't want to look like a cheapskate. But do you think that we should roll over the pot? Like somebody doesn't get it on Wednesday. Instead of giving out $5 to who was closer, should we make next week's $10? Should we just keep
Yep.
adding it? All
Yep.
right. I think that's the move. So y'all heard it here first. $5 on the line potentially Wednesday, but you better come prepared. You don't know what it's going to be. Should I give him a category?
Yeah.
I'm going to do something about LSU head coaches. I'm going to find some type of weird statistic about, I don't know. How specific should I get with the category?
Just that's good enough.
All right, there you go. LSU head coaching search. Y'all get ready. Hit the books. Be prepared. Wednesday, 1 o'clock. G, appreciate your time. You got anything to say to the crew before we hop out of here?
Good luck.
Good luck. Yeah, LSU, that one was for you. Good luck. Hopefully we can figure this out. Y'all have a good one.